Hello and welcome to our development diary about the upcoming expansion, Arma 3 Apex. This time last year we revealed our first look at Tanoa, a new Pacific Island terrain. Now we'd like to explore the armed conflict itself, looking at its weapons, vehicles and factions, plus take a first look at the new multiplayer co-op campaign. Enjoy!
Let's start about Tanoa first. Tanoa is a Pacific archipelago that consists of over 100 square kilometers of landmass. Our environment designers have hand-placed all the things that are in the whole archipelago, and they've made several distinctive islands. Each of one is different. This is the first time we've decided for a Pacific setting in the Arma series, and it's actually the first time we've decided to do a proper jungle. Tanoa is going to be the centerpiece of Apex expansion. As Jay would say, is the crown jewel.
Tanoa is one region within a bigger Pacific island nation, the Horizon Islands. Although it gained its independence after World War II, signs of its French colonial history are still apparent in its language and culture. So in 2035, Tanoa is this region divided between its farming past, its plantations and its fishing, and its industrial present, the rare earth element mine or the industrial port facility.
I don't want to spoil anything, but NATO is facing a new threat in Apex expansion. This is a new faction of local gangsters or bandits, and they are going to take the advantage of the natural disaster that struck Horizon Islands. And obviously, CSAT will appear again to provide some volatile fuel to the mix.
Syndicate's the name of a criminal organization with deep roots on Tanoa, and they run illicit operations in the Horizon Islands and in the broader region. In the bigger picture, we see our main factions maneuvering for strategic position in the Pacific. So on the one hand, we've got CSAT, who are looking to expand their strategic influence in a region which is traditionally looked towards the West for support. And on the other, we've got a US-led NATO task force who are conducting this training operation in the area as a kind of a show of force.
Although Apex is mainly about the new environment, we aim to expand even the other aspect of the game too. That means there's going to be plenty of new vehicles, weapons and equipment.
We think about the weapons in Apex as an interesting mix of old meets new. So our setting sees our paramilitary criminal faction armed with some pretty classic weapons, things that we know our community have been looking forward to see in Arma for a while. But then we have our main factions and their special forces. And these guys, they deploy with the state-of-the-art, cutting-edge equipment and gear.
Syndicate basically consists of local inhabitants who have gone rogue. This faction uses some old but reliable weapons our players know the best, like AKs, RPGs and stuff like that.
Our NATO Special Forces faction, the CTRG, they're armed with a new weapon and special gear. So their weapon is the SPAR 16. That's a new assault rifle that comes in a bunch of different variants and has new accessories as well as compatibility with our existing ones.
I hope I won't spoil anything if I mention that the new weapon of CSAT is of Chinese origin. The new lightweight CAR-95 is a Pacific replacement of Katiba, and it uses small caliber, high velocity bullets. And it comes in all variants, including the drum magazine light support weapon. And there are a few uniforms and weapons that we are not revealing yet, as we want them to be a surprise for the players who are going to play the co-op campaign.
Of course, we already have a pool of weapons and vehicles and characters which we really want to keep relevant for Tanoa. To achieve that, we've created some new camouflage patterns for NATO and CSAT, which are suited to the local environment. With the new vehicles in Apex, we wanted to do two key things. Firstly, introduce new classes of vehicle that offer new types of gameplay. And secondly, look to vehicles that kind of make sense within a Pacific Island setting. This includes things that we've already revealed, like the civilian propeller plane or the water scooter, but it also extends to our military hardware, the VTOLs or the light strike vehicles, or LSVs.
The first thing we do when we are adding something to the game is the research. Then we take a look on the real battlefield, because real militaries are spending billions and we want to get inspired by something that's real. Then we make a concept art, which is based both on the research and on our creative design. After that, it's all in the pipelines. We are creating the model, texturing it, making the configuration, adding sounds and animations. During all of these phases, there's a lot of place for feedback, being it both from inside of the team and from our military consultants and technical consultants. And I shouldn't forget about the valuable feedback from both our internal QA and the community.
In terms of our VTOLs, we have one each for NATO and CSAT, both of which come in transport and gunship variants. NATO's Blackfish, it's much bigger, it can carry a greater load, whereas CSAT's Jian, it's a bit more nimble, but it sacrifices a bit of logistical capacity for this maneuverability. It's a similar story for our light strike vehicles. Again, one for CSAT, one for NATO, but both with an armed and unarmed variant. Now, Arma 3 already has some wheeled combat vehicles, but these tended to be a bit more heavily armoured, more suited to coin combat operations. But with the light strike vehicles, they're a bit faster, more manoeuvrable, maybe a bit more fun to play with. And even for passengers, there are more firing from vehicle positions, so even in transit, everyone has something to do.
Speaking of assets, both NATO and CSAT are going to get a new armed drone, which is going to be different from the current ones. While CSAT gets a lighter counterpart to Ababil, NATO gets a new helicopter drone. Tanoa has a lot of dirt roads, and that's why we decided to add MB 4V drive. It's a new all-terrain jeep, which is able to climb even the steep inclines of the volcano. Some of you have spotted that off-road before, and the same goes for the famous Airhip, which is the inflatable boat with the solid deck. Like the weapons and uniforms, we have even repainted several Arma-free vehicles to a new camouflage to better fit the Pacific setting and blend into the jungle.
We don't want to give too much away in terms of what happens in the multiplayer co-op campaign, but we can definitely say it's connected to the events of the East Wind, which was the original Arma 3 campaign. The global situation still sees NATO and CSAT locked in this proxy war, this battle to get strategic influence. But meanwhile on Tanoa, there's been this natural disaster, and that's opened a window for some criminality and some lawlessness. So to help prevent a humanitarian disaster, the CTRG unit, the players team, they're deployed to the region to help out, to stabilize the situation. But when they get there, they find that the enemy that they encounter is perhaps a little more well supported, a little bit better trained than they originally thought.
It's all up to you to decide. You may either play on your own or team up with friends and join the 4-man squad in multiplayer. And if you are getting stuck in the mission or your friend is, it's easy to join him in progress. But beware, all the missions should scale in difficulty based on number of players to keep you always on the edge. We aim to make it manageable for a player to finish the whole campaign in one session, which is roughly 6 to 8 hours.
In our multiplayer testing, we discovered that the player's approach really changes their experience of the missions. So our military advisor, our designers were playing one of their missions with him, and he took a very slow and tactical, methodical approach. They ended up playing for about 90 minutes in a scenario which usually takes around 30. But I think they had a lot of fun, and that's kind of the beauty of Arma. It supports a whole bunch of different play styles, it rewards thoughtful play and replayability, and it lets players make their own decisions and sometimes their own mistakes.
We've been talking all the time about the creations on our side, but it's just one part of Arma 3. Our community of content creators has quite a lot to look forward to as well. Mission creators might use the new assets in Eden Editor to create their own scenarios. And I'm sure that there are plenty of stories to be told with the new South Pacific setting.
We've kind of been working towards Apex for quite a while now. I mean, really our development started in 2014 with Zeus and with Bootcamp. And then we can look through Marksman and Helicopters and Nexus and Eden and all of the other platform updates along the road. And it actually kind of relates to why we chose the name Apex, Arma 3 Apex. We really do see it as like the pinnacle point of our development over the last 3 years. So many interesting new gameplay features and platform updates have contributed to what this is going to be, the best release of an Arma game that we've ever seen.
For us, Arma 3 is both the game and the platform. And even after Apex, Arma 3 still has a long future ahead.
We hope you've enjoyed this quick tour of Arma 3 Apex. Be sure to check out arma3.com for a full overview of the expansion's content and features. So, Apex is on track for release this summer. Along the way, we'll no doubt release some platform features and content for public testing beforehand. So, stay tuned for further updates, and bye for now.